Hey, VC, this is Harvey of Spin the Black Circle, and welcome to Friday Night Vinyl. I hope everyone is well and doing good things. It's been about a month since I uploaded either as part of Friday Night Vinyl or Walking the Groove. Just got busy for a month. I went on holiday to Shropshire, the heart of the English countryside, and managed to visit one record shop there while I was on holiday, which I'll come on to, but resting up. Quite a bit of work in between, and also much more intentional listening. I've been really trying to enjoy both my back catalogue and purchases, and so I think I want to get into these weekly Friday night vinyl uploads and also the other uploads I do with a bit more of having really got to grips and listened to an LP before I show you, rather than kind of showing purchases as soon as I buy them. But that doesn't mean I'll be less regular in terms of uploads. It's just something that made me think when I had this brief hiatus. But anyway, on to this July mega haul then, and let's get stuck into it, because there are a real eclectic bunch of albums here, starting with the debut LP from 1977 of the Bahamas US funk band T Connection, and that is Magic. UK 1977 pressing on the TK RCA label. The band leaders were Theodore Coakley on keyboards and vocals, and Kurt Coakley, his brother, on guitar. A 5-piece on this album, but they did morph into a 6-piece on their next LP, On Fire. I would say if you like Brass Connection, if you like Mandrill, if you like chugging early 70s James Brown, or Funkadelic, because these are quite guitar orientated, then check out both of the first two T Connections LPs. Don't be put off by the fact that this has a track on it named Disco Magic, because Disco Magic is actually a 7-minute chugging funk tune. I think they were just trying to be fashionable to go along with what was happening with disco. But yeah, when I say this is essential, no, but if you're really expanding, if you've already got a good collection of funk and soul LPs from the 70s and you're expanding it, then T Connection are worth adding to that. And this is their debut LP, Magic, which I would recommend. The opening track actually is the key one, Do What You Want to Do, which is the single, but this is the full 7 minutes 15 version of that track, and really does show what this band were capable of, because they are incredibly capable musicians. This next one is about an exercise in serendipity and the importance of record shops, because I was in my beloved Segatron Records down the road, and Pete Bonner, the owner, said, this is something you might like. He put this on the deck, and he was right, because this 2020 LP, Closeness by Ellen Andrea Wang, is definitely up my street. I would say this is kind of like an ACM label LP, but with a lot more melodic intent. It's a jazz 3-piece, Ellen Andrea Wang on double bass and vocals, Rob Luft, who's a British ACM guitarist actually, on guitar, and then John Field, who is on drums, percussion and vocals. So that's the way I would describe this. If you like that kind of ethereal ACM sound, but you want something that's a bit more accessible, this is really good. And I would never have thought of buying this or even trying it or streaming it if I wasn't in that record shop on that day. And obviously the owner knows my taste, so that does help him to sell me things in the best way possible. I don't mean that he's doing that in any sort of cynical way. Try this, and he was right. I love it. So £12 this was. I don't think it's mega rare, but it's not something I've seen anywhere else as standard. I don't think there's any British copies currently for sale on Discogs. Now, this is on the Rope-a-Dope label, actually, which is more famous for hip-hop, but it does sound ostensibly to me like an ACM LP. So if you like the sound of that, Closeness by Ellen Andrea Wang is recommended. And talking of serendipity, the next 3 LPs were incredibly £2 each, all from Segatron. I would say the first one is probably the best bargain for the last 2 years for me. So in Segatron for £2 in his bargain bin was a all analog pressing of the jazz classic Night Train by the Oscar Peterson Trio. So yet another jazz trio, but it's an incredibly famous jazz staple. This is an all analog German 80s pressing in, I would say, VG Plus or near mint condition for £2. I've cleaned it up, but wow. I mean, I've heard this album many times. I used to have it on CD, but it's so organic. It sounds like a live album. I'm pretty sure it was a studio LP, Night Train, but it's so organic, particularly how Ray Brown's bass functions as part of this trio. Obviously, Oscar Peterson's the star, but how his bass sounds on this is tremendous. So yeah, £2 for Night Train. I mean, you can't pick up LPs like this even on purpose, because I would think that I could get this for that sort of money in this condition anyway. So really pleased with that. The other two £2 LPs each were the Marsden and Richardson duo LP. Marsden and Richardson were an offshoot of Band of Skulls. This is a kind of folk orchestral singer-songwriter LP. You know, Emma Richardson, of course, is now the bass player in the Pixies, but this has got nothing to do with punk or US indie or hardcore. This is, as I say, a folk stroke orchestral singer-songwriter LPs. Their voices meld so well together. The songwriting is really good, and I can't believe that I have this for £2. It's a great Sunday afternoon record, is what this is. So the reason it was £2 is that Pete had a number of sealed LPs he was trying to get rid of, just in a stock in a warehouse, and this and the next one featured in that. So you can't normally get this for £2. It's brand new. It was sealed, and again, it's not something that I would have thought of buying if it wasn't for that price, and I'm really glad it did. It's something I'm going to come back to, and I know I will. And the next one, the last that was in the £2 sealed bin, was the debut LP, and I still think the currently the only LP by Australian country rock outfit, the Buckleys, and this is Daydream. So this kind of good time country rock in the vein of, I would say, a Little Big Town, or a bit like Miranda Lambert. So the right side of being too cheesy, I would say, and it's a good LP for Friday night with a few cans. But yeah, really good songwriting, and for £2 really, and something that I'll come back to, and will belong in my collection. Daydream by the Buckleys, from 2020, actually, the due another LP. That's really good. So again, serendipity, right? I didn't go into that shop thinking, I wonder if I'll find the Buckleys for £2, but there it was. Right, not on to more intentional purchases, and my continuing foray into hopefully completing my collection of 1970s Isley Brothers T-neck LPs, and two of which I'll show you during this upload. And this is Showdown from 1978. What I would say about all of these Isley Brothers 70s albums is they are so carefully curated. And you get two things across these LPs. You get funk bangers, and you get Ronald Isley's ability to deliver a ballad as one of the premier ex-Motown singers on that label. And then if you couple the fact that you had the original three Isley Brothers on here and the extended family of the rest of the band to make that 3+3 6-piece, and their ability to curate LPs, write their own tunes, and know how to sequence an album, that's why I'm trying to complete my 70s collection of Isley Brothers albums, and Showdown is really good. The two tracks that really stood out for me, it's all consistent, but Groove With You is kind of mid-tempo second tune, and then Cooling Me Out again, which is more of that kind of ballad style that suits Ronald Isley. In hindsight, the worst tailoring you could imagine, but here, this is the 70s, and at the time it probably seemed like a good idea, right? Right, the Blue Note classic jazz album that I've been looking forward to and wondering why Blue Note haven't released it so far came out last month. I would go so far as to say that if you're starting a jazz collection and you want to know where to start with Blue Note records, I would consider picking up this. This is Leeway from 1960 by Lee Morgan, featuring a crack band of obviously him on trumpet, Jackie McLean on alto sax, who was smoking on this LP. Particularly the rhythm section, Bobby Timmons on piano of the Art Blakey band, Art Blakey himself on drums, and then Paul Chambers on bass is a fantastic anger across four really great original Lee Morgan tunes. Particular favourite for me is The Lion and the Wolf, which is about the two co-owners of the Blue Note label. And here you get the reason I'm saying accessible is not only is this amazing LP, but it's on that Blue Note classic, Triple A from the original Scotch Blue Note archives, and then mastered by Kevin Gray. So put those things together, I'd maybe even go so far as to say, VC, that maybe you start a jazz collection with something like this. It's that good. And so I'm pleased that Blue Note, I've been wondering, why they hadn't brought out Leeway by Lee Morgan, but that has been thankfully rectified in style. Right, okay then, what a surprise that I'm showing this, and I bought this as a big Rolling Stones fan. Where do I stand on Foreign Tongues, just briefly? It's not as good as Hackney Diamonds, but it's a really good Rolling Stones LP. Hackney Diamonds to me was carefully sequenced and thought through, and it's a fantastic Stones LP. This is a very good Stones LP. This is not it's not music top trumps. I don't need to compare this to Hackney Diamonds, but this is a worthy addition to the Rolling Stones catalogue. Is it Let It Bleed? Is it Exhale on Main Street? Sticky Fingers? No, it's not. But for a band entering their 7th decade, this is a quality album. So Foreign Tongues, without hesitation, if you're a Stones fan, I would recommend this. Everything from Jagger's socio-political lyrics to those razor guitars ear to ear by Richards and Wood, and it's a Stones LP, well written, well recorded. There have been rumours or talk of whether Jagger's vocals are auto-tuned. Who cares? It sounds good. They're in the 7th decade. It's unprecedented, and this is a very good Stones LP. So I would recommend it without hesitation. And it's a good 1-2 punch with Hackney Diamonds within 2 years of each other. So sticking with actually British bands, this is the Rob and Trower band. I picked this up when I was on holiday actually at a record store in Shropshire named Vinyl Destination. So check out that store if you're anywhere near the Midlands or North England, not far from the Welsh border. Really nice chap there named Mark who runs the store. It's such a well set out shop. Everything from this local artwork that he's commissioned from this chap there to how he set it out and how he's organised it. It leans quite heavily towards rock and metal, but they're not the only genres represented in the shop. And so if you like the sound of that and you want to go and talk to and shop at somewhere that's a proper independent record shop, and the chap was lovely, Mark, the owner. I think his wife and his daughter might help him out in the shop too, but clearly passionate about his music. Once I got talking to him, we had a great conversation, and clearly someone who is a busman's holiday, where he's pouring his passion into something that he loves, and running a great independent record shop. But anyway, back to this. £10 for Victims of the Fury, a classic 70s Rob and Trower LP. Later period than Bridge of Sighs, but still featuring James Dewar on bass and vocals. So yeah, great guitarist. It's a great LP, and one of those British blues rock guitarists and artists who I think is a little bit underrated is Rob and Trower. So I was really pleased to pick that up. So change up tack now to singer-songwriter Fair and Carole Sega's debut LP, self-titled, singer-songwriter. I would put her in the same category as a Carole King, or maybe even it's a bit like Carly Simon, except she's got quite a raspy, unusual voice actually, Carole Sega. She's clearly an amazing songwriter. She has written for a lot of artists over the years and still writing pop hits now. She's still alive, but this is from 1977 on the Elektra label. And if you like to say Carole King or that kind of California sound and a bit of that Fleetwood Mac sound, or Valerie Carter too, it's very redolent of that, then check out this debut and self-titled Carole Sega LP, and you will not be disappointed. Janice Ian too, I think more comparable to any artist I would say is Janice Ian. Very lyrical, quirky, and but an excellent kind of California style singer-songwriter with a quirk. Right, sticking with female artists, and an LP that I think, although this is a sequel, bests the original idea, and that is Confessions 2 by Madonna, her new LP. This could even feature as one of my albums of the year. It's the intent here was that she got back to that original Madonna, who was pushing demo tapes in the hands of DJs in New York clubs, and that is exactly what it sounds like. Her and she's reacquainted herself with Stuart Price, who co-produced and co-wrote the original Confessions on a Dance Floor, and she's ignored any major label pressure to make this single orientated, and it is a sequence of conjoined dance tunes. For people who maybe even haven't been to a club for like me for 15 years, it is sensational. From the songwriting to the vibe across this LP, it's just something else. It has real substance to it, whereas I think the last couple of Madonna albums, it was an attempt up until this LP to get in with some kind of young crowd and have hits to cement the legacy, whereas what she really needed to do was this, which is get back to her roots and do it her way, and she does that with absolute aplomb across this LP. The first track, actually, I Feel So Free, is probably the least satisfying. It's too obvious, it's too on the nose, but from there all the way through to the last track, it's an amazing LP. Songs like Danceteria, Everything, Love Without Words, Fragile, and particularly Good for the Soul and One Step Away, which feature on side one. The LP that I got is kind of a truncated version of the 16-track LP, and that's enough for me, I think. When I stream this, I do think it's a couple of songs too long on streaming, whereas this truncated version, where a couple of those tracks have been redacted, it really brings it to life. And it's on the maybe an album cover that you probably shouldn't look at when you've got a hangover is Confessions too. But yeah, really good, and blew me away actually in terms of the substance of what she's capable of doing. Madonna, very much in 2026, an artist and not just some sort of has-been celebrity, which is how some of the misogynistic press try to portray her. Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox on that one. Right, next up is something that I saw on a shelf, and I thought, having left the shop at Secotron again, I'm going to go back and get it. I think this is possibly my purchase of the year so far, and I should do that separate video. This is a 180 song selection, 14 LP box set of the Atlantic Soul label between 1947 and 1974. Wow, it's in near mint condition. I think most of these have been unplayed. I know it's the first LP in here. It's clearly been given to somebody as a retirement present, because everyone on the inside white sleeve, all of this person's colleagues has written, good luck on your retirement. But I don't know what's happened to the chap, but he didn't seem to have played much of it, because this is unplayed. And everything on here, everyone on here, from the bar keys to the beginning of the end, to Archie Bell and the Drells, obviously Aretha, Booker T and the MG, Solomon Burke, Eddie Floyd, Donny Hathaway, Roberta Flack, they're all on here, the Drifters. And I'm still getting the grips with this, but it's an amazing box set. So you've got kind of 7 albums of double albums each, as I see it, in mint condition, with these gatefolds with the full story of that particular year, and it deals with the years in chunks across the singles. Now, given that I was aiming anyway to collect the 4 major soul labels for me, which were Atlantic, Stax, Motown, and Philly International Records, this is manna from heaven for me. This entire box set was £65 in this sort of condition. So that's why I didn't pass it up, and it's why it's sitting at the end of my soul collection there. In prime place. So that is my purchase of the year so far, is this 14 LP. I'm smiling because of how happy I am with this collection of the cream of one of the the eminent 60s US soul labels. So just 3 more LPs to show you. The only 3 albums that I bought that I haven't listened to yet, and that's because I only bought them yesterday in the Northeast, actually, which is where I'm originally from. I was up there on a visit. And so yesterday morning, before I started doing this pub crawl with my friend, which is why I was up there, I went to a really cool record store that I've been to before in the centre of Newcastle, named RPM Records. And when I go in there, I immediately make a beeline for their soul and funk album, because they do tend to stock really quality reissues, and particularly second-hand albums and RPM. So the first I picked up was back to the Isley Brothers, and getting close to completing that T-neck collection. It is Live Up by the Isley Brothers on that epic T-neck label. So this is, you're getting to late 70s by this period. What year was this again? Actually 1974. So not that far, not long after 3+3 actually, but yeah, close to completing that now. So I haven't listened to this yet, but Live It Up by the Isley Brothers. I was never going to pass that up in this sort of VG plus condition. And then this LP, I cannot believe the condition of this. It's by a 60s soul and gospel singer named Margie Joseph on the Stax label, and this is Margie Joseph makes a new impression. Look at the quality of that sleeve of the Stax LP. It's a reissue on the Pi label from 1976. I think the original LP was 1971. This is a reissue from 1976 on the Pi label. This was famous for a 7-minute version of Stop in the Name of Love that's on here. But wow, I mean, just look at that. There's not a dink or a mark anywhere on this 1976 album by Margie Joseph, and again the vinyl is in just amazing condition when I show you that on this Stax Pi label. So excited to have picked that up. And then last but not by no means least, an LP that I didn't realise had been reissued, because I've been after it for years, and that is Hand on the Torch by Us 3. So before I even started getting into Blue Note, I remember this LP in the 90s blowing me away, and obviously they had unprecedented access, Us 3, to the Blue Note catalogue to take excerpts from the Blue Note catalogue and wield them into being dance and hip hop tunes. So famously on the Blue Note label with that Finest in Jazz since 1939 stamper on it. So yeah, didn't know it was out. This has been reissued on Music for Vinyl. It's everywhere, but I just didn't realise it. So that was my final purchase of the trip yesterday. So there you go. I am back. I am bad. I am round to go on Friday Night Vinyl. Back with you folks, and I'll be doing some Walking the Grooves very soon too. Until then, take care and peace.